We're still looking at some of the issues that we need to cover before the elections. 2 days, 18th of February, you'll all be required to go and cast your vote. We've been giving you some voter tips, especially from the Electoral Commission. Yesterday, we had the chairperson of the Electoral Commission here talking to us about some of these issues. Joining me is Farmers Party Union chairperson and presidential candidate, Major General Biraro. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The campaign trail so far, how has it been for you?
The campaign trail, we had two limitations. First of all, personally, resources. But the other big one was time. I apologize for having not covered some of the most dear districts to me. All of them are, but Shema, where I was born, the Kasese, Fort Potro, where I grew up studying, and then, of course, the Karamoja region. I covered as in areas, but some of those I didn't go to. But my project being the Farmers Party, and there are farmers there, I know they will benefit. Right. But I am asking them to understand and vote for me. Two, we had a problem of the press. The press was selective. The press needs to put their act together. They heavily went for President Museveni and these other people. I thank God that we came to the debate, because if it was not the debate, Ugandans would not have had a chance to know who General Biraro was. But the debate was God's own mercy.
What did you think about the debate? Many people say that you definitely articulated the issues, you set the stage for the second debate. What was your own assessment?
The first debate was freer. The panel were asking questions regardless. The second debate, the panel was very, very intimidated by the presence of President Museveni. So they gave him a lot of time. They gave him a lot of time, and when he complained, so some of us sat for hours without questions. Well, that's their choice. So the first one was they were asking questions that were needing the brain to give an answer. Right. This one here was people were defensive. And so we didn't have time to talk about national issues deeply in this one. So, but I loved the two occasions because they gave me a better platform, a level ground to address the issues in this country.
Your agenda is agriculture, and Farmers Party heavily represents that. Many people would say that in the era of industrialization, agriculture seems to be something that may be forgotten.
Ugandans need to know that we are now at a standstill in the economy. Industry is not functioning. Commerce is not functioning. Agriculture is not functioning. So I was looking for a key. And the key, I used the Maputo Declaration. Maputo Declaration says if you do not commit over 10% of the budget to the farmers, you won't start the economy. So actually, it looks like it is for farmers, but once the farmers are better, they buy from the commercial centers. The commercial centers get money, and then they also buy from industry. So the three start. So this is a key to start all the three. Jobs are provided, everything starts running. But when the farmers are broke and poor, then the commercial people in the towns who are selling do not have a market in the hinterland. And then when they don't have the market, the goods from industries come and stick in their shops for a long time. So I am looking for something to clear all the way. So it's good for farmers, good for business, good for industry.
General, this is a small economy. In fact, one of the candidates said it can't even attract one of the largest, restaurants in the world. If you do the maths, well, Maputo Declaration says 15%. Yes. You're committing more than 10%. What happens to other sectors of the economy?
I balanced it, and I'm using the current situation. I'm shifting through the budgets. We committed, the government of Uganda, NRM, committed 3 trillion to road works. But the roads are there and they are getting nothing from the community. So the logic is, what are the roads going to bring? So I am changing that. The roads money, 3 trillion, is what I'm giving to the farmers. This is what I will give to the farmers. One, we must ensure that the industrialization starts out there. As I told this nation, the districts are political units, not economic units. And they need to be, first and foremost, economic units, even before they are political units. So that's what I'm looking at. So, and that's what I'm start kicking. And then every district, in due time, 5 years' time or even before, will be having an industry they are supporting with their raw materials. This is the whole gist. So jobs from every district, jobs in the central, in the commercial world, jobs in the industry.
You talk a lot about zoning. Explain to me what that means.
Zoning, look at, I gave an example of Nakasongora. Nakasongora grows a lot of trees, pine especially. And so if you do, now everybody in Nakasongora is encouraged to do that. That means the wood industry will be supplied by that district. Paper industry would be supplied by that by that district. So when we go to places like Nyabushozi where they have a lot of animals, cows, so beef and dairy are based in that area. Then when you go to small districts like Wakiso, which don't have a lot of space, but in agriculture, so you look at things like chicken industry, like eggs and whatnot, the cakes and all that, confectionaries, based around Wakiso. So if somebody is coming from Wakiso, then they concentrate on small acreage stuff, but which is high value. Right. Like horticultural, like whatever in this zone. Flowers, whatever, because of the size of land they have. So that each district is exporting out of the country. Yes, that's what I'm talking about zoning.
We have the issue of young people. The unemployment rate is very high. You propose to bring vocational schools.
The starting is in the mind. I looked at our education system. It is a failure system. These people didn't ask me.
But many people would say that you use the same system. You are in school.
Yes, yes. It's exceptional. The few who are lucky. First of all, right now, 900,000 children sit P7. But by the time they get senior 4, only 300,000 are there. So about 550,000 are out. And then from senior 4 to senior 6, and the 150,000 reach senior 6. Another 300,000 are ejected. Then from senior 6 to HS to university, only 60,000 go there. You start with 900,000 to end with 60,000, failing because it's bottleneck. So what I'm saying is, I say, no, we must reverse that. How do we reverse it? At an appropriate level, I am thinking P4. We do an examination to sort out skills. Those who are good in academics take the academic lines, which we have, the schools we have, are mostly academic. Those who are practical take the practical schools from that age.
Is it for rather young?
No.
Because many kids would be very stubborn in P4. They become better students in high school.
No. But people who are practical and with the mindsets of teachers looking at them, they have known them. By the way, even at the end, when they have finished the education, they can interswitch. But when they are growing, you see those who are very, very practical, then you take them to practical institutions. And this practical will end up in engineering and other sorts of fields. So then the other third line is sports. Those who have sports skills, pick them when they are young. Take them through sports schools. And those who are musical, sports and athletics, then those who are musical, who love singing and arts and whatnot, take them through that channel. So that we don't have failures. It bothers me to tell a child in P7, 12 years, that you have failed.
And so they start doing border.
Border is, yes. So it's so bad. So the purpose of education is to give skills to citizens so that they can live by those skills in life. And that's what I must do. But again, when I started this agricultural project, I know the young people are running away from the hole. So they need to do, get a tractor, dig a big chunk, come back, open a shop, come back, do. This is the versatility they want. And I am trying to bribe them to go to the field, because those who are feeding the nation now are very old.
Let's talk a little bit about peace and security. You saw the events that what happened yesterday, the arrest of Dr. Kizza Besigye. What's your take on that?
I was talking to members of FDC yesterday evening. They were telling me what happened when I was campaigning in Kampala. The police told me not to come through the central place, because of course I know there are many people who are using that. So I passed through Nakivubo, I went to Chiseka, all those. There are population centers there. So when they told me, I didn't budge. I just took that line. But maybe that one irritated Dr. Besigye. So he wanted to use the central one. And I'm told that's where they had differences. So first of all, the personality has something to do with it. The sense of justice. Kizza has suffered a lot with the police. So he doesn't take it lying down. But so that my view is, in all this campaign, when the police have said pass here, I pass there.
Right.
I get what I want easily. The other one has a point. He has suffered with them, so he also
justified to.
He tells them where he wants. He doesn't want. So there is that confrontation, so, and it's part of that. The police is giving an explanation. Dr. Besigye is giving an explanation. But Beraru, as a person, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste time. So if you say pass the other round, I pass the other side. It doesn't take anything away from me. So it's how you balance that. That's my view.
What do you envisage after 20th February? There's a lot of post-election violence talk.
I told this nation, I told Ugandans, and let me tell them even now, the confrontation between movement and FDC has lasted the last 15 years. This is why I'm saying you have two choices. Even after these elections, you will see those parties colliding. So I told this nation and I said, the last time, since 2011, they brought us almost the brink of a civil war. So I was saying, put them aside, their leadership especially. We call for a unity government. This is what I have been.
That's what you're proposing.
Yes, I am saying we need a unity government to get to the drawing board. You cannot get to the drawing board with movement. No. And then even if movement was to win, I don't think FDC would come and say they have won. Because they have had that collision for 15 years. So they have never agreed. They have never. So those two parties, in terms of democracy, are underdeveloped. I'm telling you. Because we need consensus. So this is why I'm saying, Ugandans, make a choice. Make a choice. Elect those two, vote them, you are voting conflict. Really. Vote them, you are voting. This is why I'm saying, but you can solve their problem. You can force them to come to a coalition government. The coalition government will mean that they elect General Beraru to come and preside over a parliament where FDC is represented, movement is represented, DP is represented, and all this. And they will be part of the cabinet. We sit together because it happened in Kenya. The Kenyans tried confrontation, it didn't work. So they came back and formed the unity government. This is a religious nation, either Christian or Muslim. Our people have followed their motto, for God and my country. So I am calling upon you, tomorrow I will observe a fast. I will be fasting and praying for the peace of this nation, for those conducting the elections. Because we have had many godless people in high positions of responsibility. And they don't care what they do to this nation. They are willing to put your children in harm's way. They don't care. So this is why I am appealing to the Almighty God, our God, to come in and touch them and give them direction, especially in the conduct of this election. So I am asking you to join me so that we pray for our nation. But after that, I am saying remain calm. I know we don't expect miracles from the Electoral Commission. Their logistics system has always failed them. So those are things that cause anger. Calm down. Calm down, vote. They will frustrate you at polling. You'll find your name is not there, or it's this and that. Calm down. Do the voting. But don't go away from the polling station. Keep the 100 meters allowed by the Constitution. Get your cameras. Take everything that is happening so that you stop the rigging. So that you stop the rigging. Where there is rigging, you take those pictures, bring them to us so that we use them in the courts of law. I want us to go through the courts of law in case things go wrong, so that we don't give violence a chance.
Right.
We don't give. Those people, peace-loving Ugandans, don't encourage violence. It doesn't pay. Go, vote, be peaceful. It may rain. It may do whatever. Nature is there. Calm down. Go with an umbrella even if it's not, so that there is nothing that will take you away from the line to create a room for rigging.
Right.
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
Right. On the lighter side, what has been the highlight of your campaign? I'm sure you visited many areas.
Oh, I saw beautiful places. I had never been to Rakai as a district. I have never seen a place with so many lakes, so many rivers, and yet so many poor. I went to Zombo. Oh my God. There in West Nile, in Mbarara we grow bananas, and we try hard to grow them. But I found in Zombo, in Lira, in Soroti, they grow wild. Nobody attends them, but they are still, it was amazing. This country is fantastic. It can do everything.
Right.
Yes, and the swamps for rice and everything. I came with hope,
right.
a lot of hope. Then you go to Kapchorwa. It's so beautiful. Kisoro, the so-called Switzerland. These are better than Switzerland. Very beautiful people, nice climate, cool all the time. It's Uganda is a place to visit.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt my tourism program will work.
Will work. Yes. General, where are you going to be voting from? I'm
voting from Sinjiro, Rumuri. My cell is called Rumuri. I will be voting from there tomorrow, on Thursday.
All right. Yeah. General, thank you so much for joining us. And for the rest of you, of course, we continue the message of peace. Our hashtag #IamUganda is running on Twitter and Facebook. Please go there and make sure that you join that conversation. We have always said Uganda is bigger. Uganda is beyond this election. It will stay there even after the election. So make sure you do not cultivate a culture of violence.